mostly with Tony Atlas because we had such a good long run as the tag team champions.
Right. So let me ask you this. Tony, when he was in studio, told a story. I guess he drove off the road. I think you, like, hit him from behind or something. And he drove off the road and the car flipped.
What did he
And the
do?
Iron Sheik had to pull him out of the car.
My God.
Like, you did something to him that made him drive.
Oh, I wrecked the car.
Okay.
I wrecked the car. He was in the car with me.
Okay, so what's the story?
Okay.
Anyway, that was another time when a little too much partying. We left the building anyway. I run off the road and the car flipped.
Ooh.
And anyway, we had to take it. And it was, it was me, Tony, Nick Patrick, my cousin Johnny. And Tony hurt his neck. They had to take him to the hospital. And but anyway, yeah, that was on me. That was my bad.
Is it true that the Iron Sheik came down there, though, and, like, ripped the door off to get him out of the car? Or is that kind of fabricated?
Well, I know him and Ole Anderson stopped and helped.
Ah, okay.
So he probably did because the car was upside down, so he had to yank it.
So now what are you guys, upside down in the car? And, like, is someone like, Tommy, what are you doing, pal?
What, they're having a conversation? They're upside down? You should have had that seventh beer. What the
We wasn't really talking. It's kind of like a moment of silence. Yeah. I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? You know.
So what does Arn say to you? Not Arn. What does Ole say to you?
Oh, it was Ole. Oi.
Ole started taking because they thought I was drunk. They said because the cop gave me a DUI. Anyway, long story short, Ole was taking money out of my check every week to pay for the car. Right. And anyway, I went to court. Of course, I wasn't drinking. I just was wore out, tired. And so anyway, they dropped the case, so he had to give me my money back. He didn't like that too much. Me and Ole had that kind of, he loved to use me because I made money, but he didn't like me very much.
How about Ole's rep in general? Ole's not very well liked by most folks.
See, that's why he liked Buzz so good, because Buzz was not liked so much.
Oh, so that they
got along good.
That's
Yeah, they got along good. Ole treated him about like his son.
So why didn't he like you? Because he had to pay you back for the...
No, just because he just thought I shouldn't be wrestling. Because I was so little when I went to Georgia, I was like 210, 220, and everybody else was great big guys, and he just thought, I don't know what he thought. He just didn't think too much of me. But then when he saw I could draw money, then it was all good.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So I got to ask one more thing about Buzz Sawyer, because I really did enjoy his on-screen performances. If he wasn't who he was behind the scenes with the drugs, his promos were so intense. Would he have been the same character if he didn't have that lifestyle off camera?
I've seen him do promos straight, too. I don't know that it was all the drugs. He was just a different type of individual, He was kind of crazy and out there a little bit, You
worked with one of my favorite tag teams of all time, the Freebirds.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about the Freebirds, maybe especially Michael Hayes? How was your relationship with Michael Hayes?
Well, if it wasn't for Big Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts, Michael Hayes wouldn't have never even been a Freebird. All he could do was talk. I'm sorry if he's one of your heroes. I'm not a fan.
Not a hero.
Tell him the story.
Not a hero, but I did enjoy their work, right?
Yes.
Michael
they
definitely
had Big Terry Gordy, if he hadn't went before his time, he was one of the great. He could work as good as anybody in his business, and had the psychology too. But Big Terry started when he was 16. He looked like a man when he was 16.
So did you not get along with Michael though?
I got along with him. He just talks about stuff he don't know nothing about sometimes. Don't say nothing about something if you don't know what you're talking about. And he said a few things about me that he didn't know what he's talking about.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Oh no, just like the thing with Harley. He said that the referee wasn't supposed to count Harley out. Just different stuff.
Just maybe a little jealousy, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Well, think about it, right?
He didn't win the world
forever
title.
The NWA. You're an NWA champion, like you said. 4 days, 1 day, 20 hours doesn't matter, right? That's a prestigious title.
Absolutely.
That Michael never got his hands on, right?
And Michael, And it's like I said, I mean, he was a mouthpiece, and he could run that mouth good, 'cause he could piss anybody off, that's for sure. Not even if he's trying to.
Did he get carried away with the rocks? Did he think he was a rock star behind the scenes? Was he obnoxious like the Axl Rose?
Oh
type?
yeah,
Like he was.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
And he loved that. I like to play with a little bit of. I did a little bit of everything, but they was in Tennessee boys. They like that old JD.
Yeah.
And that JD, he drinking thing. He's 10 foot tall, bulletproof sometime.
Right.
And
running around half naked like David Lee Roth.
Yeah, exactly. Same.
Michael Hayes. I could see that.
But you both were Atlanta guys, right? So you guys.
Well, they was, I would wrestle. I was in Georgia, and then like I'd go home to Tennessee, and they'd come in. Like I was there a couple of times with them. I wasn't never around them a whole lot. When they was in Tennessee, they was in Tennessee for a little while when I was there. And then in Georgia, a couple of times they were coming in and out. They would be down there for Watts working, Louisiana, and then they'd come back to Georgia for a while. So everybody kind of traveled. I was lucky. I just had to go, I got to go back home to Tennessee. And then when it got time to go, then I'd come back to Georgia. So, it really worked out, I mean, real well for me because I just don't know. I like the guys in Charlotte, man. They did, and in Louisiana, so many miles. I mean, they'd wrestle and had to drive 300 miles to the next town. I was in Atlanta, Georgia. Shoot, Monday night we did Augusta, Georgia. That's the reason I never wanted to leave there. That's about 140 miles. Tuesday was Macon. That was 60 miles. Then Wednesday you did Columbus, Georgia, was 110 miles. Then on Thursday they'd run Athens or Rome, Georgia, because they wouldn't carry a show.
So I kind of get the feeling like you were like, you know what? You were okay with losing that title because you didn't want to be traveling around. You were okay just doing that Georgia circuit.
Yes, I love Georgia. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. It was good to go home to Tennessee, but and I worked some of the other territories. Like I worked, in Kansas City. Mr. Barnett. I worked with some of these promoters, and I'd be like pretty close to the top, and I know what some of the others was making. I know what I got paid, and so I can make as much money being home in Georgia as I was being on the road.
Now you're talking my language, bro. You're rolling right into it. What does Tommy Rich make a match? What does Tommy Rich make a year back in 1983, 84?
Shoot, in Georgia, I was making, you'd make 15 to 25 a week.
Nice.
And then when winter hits, you might go down to 1,000, but I mean that's still good money because you're home every night. You're not buying hotels, you're not buying gas, you're not going out having to get hotels.
What was an average match for Tommy Rich? Like average time of a match? You weren't doing 1 hour at Broadway's, right? You were.
Well, I did. I mean, when I wrestled, and I wrestled Flair quite a bit, and he always, because he knew I like to party a lot. He said, so they'd tell us to go 30, and he'd take me 45 or 50.
That's a marathon.
But I didn't care because I could go.
Sure.
It didn't bother me. And then Harley would always wrestle me because it was just so smooth, and I enjoyed it. And I never got tired wrestling them because they knew what they were doing. It's kind of like dance. You got one that leads and one that follows. And I was blessed that I got the opportunity to follow, Blackjack Lanza, with Bobby Heenan, man, Baron Von Raschke. I mean, I'm talking about, they have characters today, but these guys was Ox Baker, looked like a Neanderthal. They didn't have to get that was them. That was their persona, man. That was their personality. I mean, Baron Von Raschke, he looked like a German, sure. And Blackjack Lanza, Mulligan. I mean, they look like big old cowboys. I mean, that's and that's the way it was. Everybody. I mean, Stan Hansen, he was a big old cowboy.
And Tommy Rich was Tommy Rich. That was you.
Yeah, that was me. And that's. I think that's what the reason I got over so good because they'd seen all these big guys, and they loved me, but they like to see me get my ass kicked a little bit and then fight back.
Sure.
And that's what I did. I never run out of gas, So it was, it was a good combo for me. And like I wrestled Kim Patera, another great one, the one that, in the Olympics and everything else, and that took and showed me things. So I was very blessed to get into business and get the opportunity to wrestle the guys that I did, and I respect every one of them.
So let me ask you, let's go back a little bit. You mentioned Andre, you mentioned Ric Flair. Did you go out partying with these guys?
Yeah, me and Rick Martel every time, Rick French Canadian, and I remember one night we was wrestling at the Omni, and because every time Andre come in, we'd have to take him out. I mean, we didn't have to, but we did because you love Andre, and so one night it was a Sunday, and we did the Omni. And you always had to dress nice, for the Omni. So I went that day and bought me a powder blue, didn't have a vest, but like a little suit thing. And so we go to the Omni, we wrestle, and there's this place called Kelly's, a little Irish bar. Well, they close at 12 on Sunday because everything closes on Sunday at 12. So we get there and we drink and carrying on. All of a sudden they say last call, and Andre say, "Hey, boss, let's go to this after hours bar." And me and Rick looked at each other. I didn't even know there was no after hours bar, on Sunday in Atlanta. Sure enough, here we go. We go over there and we start drinking. I said, heck with it. I said, give me a vodka and grapefruit juice. And I took it and I just killed it. I told Andre, I said, look, there wasn't even nothing in there. He told that guy, he said, he had him pour another one, and they put about that much grapefruit in it, and I had to drink it. Oh. So anyway, a little later on in the night, I'm feeling really bad, so I hit that bathroom, and it don't have but one stall and then one of them little pee things, So somebody's in there, and I can't get in, so I just go to the little urinal thing, and I'm throwing up, man. All of a sudden, I hear somebody in that other one throwing up. All of a sudden, they open my door, and it's Rick Martel. Andre, they got us both sick. As you come in the door, there was like a bench here and a bench here, a little L shape. I was laying on one. Oh, no, so we got over that and come back out at the bar, and it got about 3 o'clock. And at 3, they start cooking breakfast. So Andre says, you want something to eat? And they started cooking that bacon there. I had to run to the bathroom again. Son, me and Rick both, I came out. Rick didn't get sick, but he went outside. He couldn't smell it either. He was laid on one bench. I was laid on the other. And Andre comes out. He picks Rick up in one arm, picks me up in the other one. And Rick had a 72 or 3 Thunderbird back then. And carried us to the car, and I didn't even know Andre could drive. I got in the back seat. Rick was in the front seat on the passenger side, and Andre drove us back. In my little suit thing, in the back seat, the window didn't open about that far, little smoking window. And I got to having him heave. I spit up all over my dead girl jacket and everything. Next day, I was going to take it to clean. I said, hell, I just throwed it in. It says $100 down the drain.
Oh my God.
I just threw it away, yeah. But yeah, Andre, man, he was great. I had a van, and anytime he'd come in the back, it had a table, and you take it down, there's a little horseshoe there. So we put cushions in it, and Andre'd sit down in there and throw his arms up there, and we'd take off and go wherever we needed to go, Yeah, Andre was very good people.
Wow.
How about Ole Anderson one more time, if we can bring him up? He claims to have had a huge, this is his word supposedly,
I will be riding high. Yes, I will.